The incense still hung heavy in the air. 1,000,000 prayers, it seemed, were suspended in the vast dome of St. Peter's Basilica. Pope Leo XIV, a voice for justice from Manila to Mexico City, was raising the host. The world watched as the sacred moment unfolded. Suddenly he faltered. His hand trembled, the consecrated wafer shaking. A gasp rippled through the cardinals and dignitaries. The Pope's eyes glazed over. He swayed, then collapsed. Chaos erupted. Swiss guards broke formation. Cardinals rushed forward. The live broadcast cut to a serene image of the Vatican gardens, but the world had already seen the unthinkable. The Vicar of Christ had crumbled before billions. The silence that followed was more terrifying than any scream. Medics swarmed the altar, a makeshift screen of white sheets shielding the fallen pontiff. The basilica, designed for worship, became a scene of profound failure. The world's media scrambled. Something was terribly wrong. The faithful wept, prayed, or simply stared, smartphones aloft, capturing history. Security began to clear the basilica, their orders firm but their eyes fearful. As crowds were ushered into the Roman sun, questions flew. What happened? Is he alive? What now? No one had answers. The Vatican had just lost its leader, and the world had just lost its certainty. The silence in St. Peter's was absolute. The official response was swift and utterly opaque. The Holy See press office called it slight fatigue, an insult to the billions who saw the collapse. The statement claimed the Pope was conscious and serene, but offered no details. The Vatican's ancient strategy, say nothing, admit nothing, control the narrative by starving it of facts. The world's media, camped outside the Gemelli, were fed only silence. The Vatican's walls had never seemed so high. This ambiguity bought time for the power brokers inside. Was this temporary or the end? Every word released was weighed. The vacuum was filled with frantic rumor, whispers of a massive stroke, hints of unresponsiveness, conspiracy theories. The Vatican's silence only amplified the sense of crisis. By saying so little, they made the world suspect the very worst. The silence from the top was deafening. The ship of state, suddenly without its captain, drifted toward a storm. The world waited, anxious and in the dark. The Church has a script for when a pope dies, but not for this. No process for a pope alive, but not alive enough. No vice-pope, no deputy with executive power. Canon law is clear on papal authority, but silent on incapacity. Can a pope be declared incapacitated? By whom? The College of Cardinals has no authority while he lives. A medical panel? Who could judge the Vicar of Christ? The legal void creates a dangerous power vacuum. The machinery of the Holy See grinds to a halt. No papal bulls, no new bishops, no canonizations. The Church is paralyzed, its head disconnected from the body. The Curia can manage routine work, but major decisions require the Pope. The Church is rudderless, a global superpower rendered inert by a single heartbeat in a hospital bed. Precedents are few and offer no guidance for today. Can a Pope resign? Yes, but only of his own free will. If Leo XIV is in a vegetative state, he cannot resign or appoint a delegate. The throne of Peter is occupied but empty. The Church is locked in suspended animation. This is uncharted territory. Ambition and intrigue now find fertile ground. Into the void, three key figures stir. Cardinal Matteo Bellini, Secretary of State, is the Pope's chosen man, a moderate progressive, now exposed and fragile. He must project stability as his authority crumbles. Cardinal Albrecht von und zu Schulenburg, German prefect, leads the traditionalist opposition. He sees Leo's reforms as betrayal and commands a powerful minority yearning for tradition. For them, this crisis is opportunity. Cardinal Marco Rizzi, head of Vatican finances, is the old guard's pragmatist. He controls the Vatican's wealth and represents the Italian curial machine. Rizzi is discreet, ruthless, and wants a pope who won't meddle in finances. He is the kingmaker, backing whoever serves his interests. Bellini must hold the ship together and preserve his standing. Von Schulenburg will rally his forces for a battle over the Church's soul. Rizzi will watch, wait, and use his leverage to protect the old guard's power. The stage is set, the players are in position. The Vatican is now a battleground of ideology, ambition, and survival. Each cardinal eyes the throne and each other. The crisis is no longer just spiritual, it is political, and the stakes are eternal. The first 24 hours saw quiet, calculated maneuvers. Bellini convened an emergency meeting of Curia heads, not to decide, but to show he was in charge. He controlled information from the hospital, consolidating power. Von Schulenburg made a public show of piety, leading a rosary and speaking of grave confusion. He framed the crisis as divine judgment on Leo's reforms, rallying his base. Rizzi made no public statements, but met with Vatican bankers and Italian politicians. His focus, financial and market stability. He reassured power networks that the Vatican remained reliable. Behind closed doors, Bellini's allies urged a declaration of incapacitation. Schulenburg's supporters questioned the legality, defending the sanctity of the papal office. Rizzi's network listened, gathering intelligence. It was a silent chess game, each cardinal moving pieces, testing defenses, preparing for the moment the king is declared fallen. The battle for the Vatican had begun, not with a shout but a whisper. The world watched, sensing the tension beneath the surface. Every move was calculated, every alliance weighed. The sacred chessboard was set. The outcome would shape the church for a generation. The stakes had never been higher. After 48 hours, the official word came, a single clinical bulletin. Pope Leo XIV had suffered a catastrophic stroke. The damage was severe and irreversible. He was alive, but the man was gone. Profound aphasia, total paralysis, no hope of recovery. The church was now led by a living ghost. The bulletin ended speculation of a miracle. The crisis was now permanent. Bellini's emergency strategy was obsolete. His authority would fade. For von Schulenburg, the news was a call to arms. A conclave was now inevitable. The world reacted with sorrow and fascination. News channels broke in, world leaders issued statements, but behind the scenes, calculations began. The church's leadership matters on the world stage. The medical bulletin was a geopolitical event, confirming a power vacuum. The doctors had done their job. They had started the clock on a high-stakes succession battle. The Vatican was now officially in limbo. The struggle for the future had begun. The Ring of the Fisherman, symbol of papal authority, sits unused in Leo's hospital room. It cannot be worn, cannot be destroyed. The papal apartments are empty, lights off, the Pope's desk covered. Swiss guards stand watch over a memory. Normally the apartments are sealed upon death, but not now. The Pope is technically still in residence, though absent. The empty rooms are a visible reminder of the absent sovereign. The keys of St. Peter, ultimate spiritual power, are in limbo. The Pope holds them but cannot use them. Bellini manages bureaucracy but lacks the authority of the keys. The Church's power is locked away in a silent mind. Symbols are frozen, the ring, the apartments, the keys. The crisis is more than legal, it is deeply theological. The factions fight not just for control but to restore meaning to the symbols, to put a hand back into the ring, to put a living mind behind the keys. The paralysis is both real and symbolic. As night fell, St. Peter's Square filled with candles and prayer. Thousands gathered, a sea of flickering lights, singing hymns and praying for their shepherd. The faithful's concern was for the man, not the politics. They watched the lighted window of the papal apartments, hoping for a miracle. The world saw a united church, grieving for its leader. But inside the Vatican, the real battle raged. Von Schulenburg hosted a dinner for traditionalist cardinals, building a coalition. He argued that ending the limbo was less scandalous than inaction. He laid groundwork for a formal move to declare the see impeded. Meanwhile, Rizzi worked the phones, discussing candidates with powerful dioceses. He was not talking theology but numbers and loyalty. Bellini tried to manage the present, Schulenburg framed the future, and Rizzi did the math. The vigil was faith. The meetings were ambition. The Church's fate was being decided in shadows. The contrast was stark. Devotion in the square, intrigue in the palaces. The next move would shape history. The crisis has entered a dangerous new phase. The shock is over. The power vacuum remains. The papacy's image of permanence is shattered, held together by hospital machines. Power is now about blood pressure and brain function. The Church's silence on the world stage is deafening. Governments watch, wondering who will inherit the throne of Peter. Will it be a progressive, a traditionalist, or a compromise? The intrigue is swirling. The factions are acting. Bellini fights to preserve Leo's legacy. Schulenburg gathers allies for change. Rizzi wields financial leverage. The battle is between faith and ambition, played out in gilded corridors. The coming weeks will be a period of secret meetings and shifting alliances. The cardinals must answer a question canon law never imagined. How do you remove a living pope? The world holds its breath as the knives are sharpened. Please subscribe to our channel History Documentary Hub for more insightful videos and intriguing content.